In today's video, we're going to be looking at Manic Panic in the color Fuchsia Shock. Now, I'm a terrible speller, but how do you spell fuchsia? Because I don't remember it being spelt like that. Does anyone know? I tried Googling it and I think it was different, but I also don't want to question, it's a whole brand, like. Anyways, I have my swatches labeled 1 through 12, but that is not synonymous with hair levels. I do pictures and clips near the end of the video, so the numbers just help us keep track of each swatch. They are human hair swatches, but the only one that's virgin hair is the number 4 black swatch. The rest have been chemically dyed or bleached at some point in their existence. So to start, I'll be taking the dye directly from the container and I'll be putting it at the top of each swatch. And then some people do like to dilute their dyes, so I'll be doing a diluted version at the bottom of each swatch. Please keep in mind, everyone's hair is different, so everyone's hair will take dye differently. Also, something I've noticed is that different screens and monitors will make colors look pretty different sometimes, especially undertones. So just use my video as a reference for how this could possibly turn out for you. For the diluted section, we're going to be doing a 4-to-1 ratio, so that is 4 parts of diluter to 1 part dye. This is a very, very pigmented color, so you could actually dilute it a lot more if you're trying to get a lighter pink, but I felt like doing the 4 parts already lightened it up quite a bit from the original color that I decided to stop there. But again, it's so pigmented, you could get a really good range out of this dye. If you're unsure what diluter is, the easiest answer I can give is that it basically lightens the color of the dye. And also, if you're wondering, I just use a plain white conditioner when I'm diluting. I'm gonna let these sit for about 3 hours. I will then rinse them out, and when they're dry, I will meet you back here and we'll do some comparisons. So before we get too invested in the video, I quickly wanted to make an announcement. I don't know if an announcement's the right word. I wanted to show you guys something. That's what I should say. So I started playing around with Amazon's KPD thing, and I've made some notebooks. So I've always liked being creative and stuff ever since I was a kid. So I just wanted to try making some stuff, and I really had fun being creative and releasing some of that creative energy. So if you couldn't tell, I went with a more minimalistic, simple approach, which I have to admit isn't always my style, but sometimes I wish it was. So I wanted to emulate that, if that makes any sense. You'll notice that this cover is shiny. I actually ended up deciding on going with matte. I was between matte and shiny. The matte ones feel so velvety. I was a little worried that they would pick up dirt really well, but I've been using this one and it looks pretty good in my opinion. I got this at the beginning of the month, and obviously like I don't take it a bunch of places and stuff, but I use it regularly at this point. And it's held up really well. So I really like the soft matte covers, so that's what they will be going forward. I obviously offer 2 sizes and 2 color palettes, so I decided to go with like a green and then like a pinky, peachy, and then 2 more like abstract, and then 2 more plant related. Regardless of how well these sell or don't sell, I think I had so much fun that I think I'm gonna do seasonal releases. So this is gonna be the summer release, and essentially each cover will have multiple different interiors. So like this is a journal interior. I believe this one is a wide ruled interior, which this cover is the only cover with white pages. The rest will have cream pages. I just thought the white would look better with that cover, and the cream looks nice with the rest. There's college ruled, and I think that's all I have personally. Yeah. They'll be dotted and blank for anyone who wants to draw. And then I also am making planners, which when this video comes out, not everything will be up. It takes a really long time for everything to be approved on Amazon. So when I get the planners in my hands, I'll probably put those in a video as well. But either way, not everything is up yet. Like, I think these are the most recent ones that I did, and I don't even have all of those uploaded yet. And some of them are still in the process of being approved. So if you are interested in anything, you know, just keep checking back, essentially. And then this is a letter size, so like a piece of printer paper. And then this is half letter size, so it's half of that. And yeah. Like I said, I've been using this one, and I really like the paper to write on. It writes really nicely too. I was afraid it wasn't gonna be that great of quality, because you just never know until you get it, but I really like it. So yeah, I just thought I'd let you guys know it's something that I'm doing if you're interested. And I appreciate you watching this segment of the video, even though it has nothing to do with hair. Yeah, I love you guys. And let's continue. Alright, so this one does seem to be super pigmented. I see a difference on all of them except the number 4 black swatch. If you are someone with black hair, I will say if you have virgin black hair, like you've never dyed it or anything, most likely these dyes will not take on your hair. The only time that I ever notice one of my black swatches taking a dye at all is if it's a slightly more like blackish brown and not pure black. But even then, if it's still virgin hair, there's a good chance that even though it takes the dye, it'll wash right out the next time. So just be wary and cautious of that. Number 1 was green. The fuchsia like covered that very well, and it actually looks the most cool tone out of all of these. It's got like a slightly more purpley vibe to it. And then the next in line for a cool tone would be the gray swatch. It's a little bit brighter than the green one. But it's still a little bit more cool tone looking than the number 11, well, like blonder swatches. The number 3 even took the dye. I would say it looks pretty comparable to the number 6 swatch. So if you have naturally red hair, I don't think that will affect how it looks as much. Number 5, while I can see a difference, I don't know if other people would. Like if you dyed your hair and you're walking around outside, maybe people could tell, but indoors, I'm not really sure. We'll have to see when I do close-ups in the natural lighting, if it's easy to see or not. And then obviously these just get progressively lighter as you get blonder. It's really hard for me to even say if there's one that I like the most. Normally I'll pick out one that I think looks the best, but honestly, I like all of them. I would say 9 through 12 look maybe the most saturated when it comes to the direct dye portion, but like 7 and 8 still look really nice. And kind of the same thing for the diluted section as well. 9 through 12 all look very like smooth and intentional. Of course, the number 11 turned out the brightest. It almost looks like a neon pink, honestly, on the number 11, but still looks really good on 7 and 8 as well. And that being said, I have a theory. As soon as I washed this out, I was like, that diluted section reminds me of another Manic Panic dye, and that dye is Hot Hot Pink from Manic Panic. So this is comparable to number 12, number 11, number 10, and number 9. So obviously I'm not doing this comparison for the direct eye, so I'm gonna move them all down. Do you see what I see? It's looking to me like Hot Hot Pink is just the lighter version of Fuchsia Shock, or Fuchsia Shock is the darker version of Hot Hot Pink. On my swatches, they have the same undertones, the same amount of brightness at the bottom, because they both look pretty neon on number 11. The only one I feel like looks a little different in person is the number 10 swatches, but that could be the hair, because these are human hair swatches, and everyone's hair does take dye differently, but it's not too far off. Like if I lightened this just a little more, I do think it would look pretty close. So if anyone else had a sneaking suspicion, I'm here to confirm that suspicion. I mean, I don't know for exact, but essentially if you wanted a darker version of Hot Hot Pink, all you'd have to do is dilute your Fuchsia Shock. And unfortunately, I haven't really done any colors kind of like this. I thought I did more, but I really haven't. So this comparison that I'm going to do next isn't going to be an exact dupe, but I want to do Cran Baby from Lunar Tides. This is comparable to number 12, number 11, number 10, and number 9. So I noticed that the Cran Baby photograph's very red, for me at least. When you compare Cran Baby to a red, you can see that it isn't quite red, but they're not too far off in depth, so I almost feel like the Cran Baby is a super like muted, more natural version of the Fuchsia Shock. Maybe my eyes are deceiving me, but especially on the number 9, they look like sisters but not twins, you know? But of course, if I do any darker like magenta-y colors in the future, I will compare them to Fuchsia. Now I'd like to get into the before and after clips. Those, as well as anything after this point in the video, will all be done in natural lighting. And because I use natural lighting, sometimes it's hard to replicate the same environment on 2 different days. So if both of the clips look different from each other, that is probably why. I hope this video helped. If you have a request, I do have a link below to a Google form you can fill out. Just remember, I only do dyes that do not test on animals. Thank you to my patrons, and thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in my next video.